Great. Let's get started. This is Chris Kalinda, founder of the Strategic Leaders Academy. Welcome to our webinar. Now, we're going to cover practical ways to bring out the best version of yourself and your employees so your healthcare team is as productive and effective as possible. So, why do I support healthcare leaders? Well, I served as a commander of paratroopers in Afghanistan. Our doctors and medics saved the lives of my soldiers and countless Afghans. Their work helped to turn a hostile population friendly. So helping healthcare leaders succeed is just a way of giving back. All right, rules of engagement. Please keep your microphones on mute. Pose questions in the chat room, which our COO, Nicole Kaus, is monitoring. She will flag me when questions appear, and we will get on it right away. If you are listening to this on a recording, you can write a question in the chat or email it to me, and we will get you an answer right away. Okay, let's get going. So in this webinar, you will gain practical tips to learn about the 4 leader archetypes and how they contribute to your team. You'll understand why there's no single leadership ideal, that you'll have the freedom to be yourself as a leader and to let others do the same. You'll bring out the best possible version of yourself and your employees so that you can help build healthy habits and prune away average or unhealthy habits that might be holding you back. You'll learn ways to unlock your potential and bring a higher performing, more engaged team using 5 key shifts from conventional wisdom. And you'll help your boss bring out the best in you so that you are empowered with the right latitude, guidance, and support. Okay, so for and not for, this webinar is for healthcare leaders who are serious about leading well, leaders who want to bring out the very best in others, and leaders who want to make the best possible impact to protect your patients, your company, the people that you serve in as effective way as possible. This, of course, is not for the arrogant, manipulative, uncoachable people or charlatans who are looking to make a quick buck. So, does this sound like you? I want to be the best version of myself. I want to find the right roles for myself and my employees, and I want to build a high-performing team. I am not satisfied with one-size-fits-all views on what makes an effective leader. I want to avoid burnout for myself and my team. And I want to have more energy at work and home. And I want to help my boss and my company succeed. So if this sounds like you, then you are in exactly the right place. So why is this important? Well, look, there is no single leadership ideal. Our hardwiring shapes how we lead, producing 4 main archetypes. And great leaders come in all 4 archetypes. Each just simply leads differently. And how we lead as one of these 4 broad archetypes does not equal how well we lead. Those are 2 different issues. So we're going to focus on the how today and move to the how well in the next 5 webinars. We're also going to move from a focus on strengths and weaknesses to a focus on natural flow, energy, and inclinations. And this is going to help you put the right people in the right roles with the right support, and then let them amaze you with their ingenuity and excellence. So why leader archetypes? Well, look, they're imperfect. They are a general orientation. They are not a straitjacket. You have to customize each archetype to the realities and the essence and the wonder of each individual. They provide a framework, a way of thinking about how different leaders lead and how to bring out the best in each one of them. It gives you a start point that you can customize. It's also simple and elegant. It's easy to understand so you can see yourself in context and you can see the balance in your team. And it's very practical. It gives you highly actionable ways to maintain healthy habits, avoid bad ones, build a balanced team, and mentor effectively. Finally, it is non-judgmental. There are no pejoratives in these archetypes. There are no so-called high Ds. And you know that when somebody calls you a high D, they're referring to a body part. And that body part is not deltoid. There are no arbitrary assessments of your supposed ingrained strengths and weaknesses. You have four main archetypes and examples of healthy, average, and unhealthy versions of each. So knowing your who does this for you. It enables you to see yourself in your natural flow, inclinations, and energy. It allows you to be the best version of yourself. There's no need to try to copycat others. This helps you to be authentic and believable. Knowing your who helps you seek out and frame the best roles for yourself. You know, when ancient Greeks went to the oracle at Delphi, one of the first things they saw on the route up, etched into the stone there, was the saying, know thyself, think mortal thoughts. And knowing thyself is one of the most difficult things that people can do. But once you do, it opens pathways for you to succeed. When you know yourself, you get better insight on how to put the right team around you so that you can excel. It also enables you to bring out the best in your employees, to help them be the best versions of themselves too. No more subconsciously forcing them to try to copycat you. It also enables you to help your boss or your board help you succeed by empowering you with the right guidance, latitude, and support. And finally, it gives you humility. You are not judgmental about how others are hardwired. You simply help them be the best and healthiest versions of themselves. So once you make these 5 key shifts, here's what you're going to be able to do. First, you're going to avoid bad copycats. No more trying to mimic the style of someone else, because you don't need to. Being yourself is more than good enough. You're going to be able to lead with confidence and energy as a healthy version of yourself. No more imposter syndrome. You're going to be able to avoid toxic roles that sap your energy and enthusiasm and increase the risk of burnout. You are also going to be able to hire more intentionally and effectively, bringing the right talent around you so that you've got balance. And you're also going to be a better mentor. You'll stop subconsciously trying to turn people into clones of you, and you'll instead start helping them be the best versions of themselves. And finally, you'll be able to influence, manage, coordinate with your boss and your board more effectively so you get empowered properly. So why listen to us at Strategic Leaders Academy? Well, our team at SLA has amassed over 150 years of highly successful leadership experience in some of the most difficult and dangerous and dynamic situations that leaders face. And the outcomes for all of us have been extraordinary. Each of us has a master's degree or PhD in subjects related to leadership, culture, and strategy. We bring you over 100,000 hours of research, published articles and books, which produce the best ideas that history and philosophy, social and behavioral sciences, and business management have to offer. We have helped our clients grow by over $25 million and counting since 2014. That's an over 30-to-1 return on investment for them. That's the power of moving from good to great or great to excellent in the big 3: leadership, culture, and strategy. So look, if you are not seeing at least a 10-to-1 return on investment in your leadership consulting, it's time to start asking some hard questions. All right, let's talk about these 5 key shifts. So we're going to focus on 5 key shifts that help you lead as the best version of yourself and help others do the same. First, we're going to make a shift from 4 letters to knowing your who, your how, and your why. Second, we're going to help you shift from a single leadership ideal to 4 broad archetypes. Third is the shift from superpowers or ingrained strengths and weaknesses to natural inclinations, flow, and energy. Fourth is your shift from being a cloner to being a coach and mentor. And these lead to a 5th shift from being frustrated in a sucky job with disengaged employees to being fulfilled as a leader of an even higher performing, higher morale team. All right, let's get into the shifts. So shift number 1 is from 4 letters to your who. So MBTI, DISC, ISTJ, low C, high C, vitamin C, ESTP, high D, low D, ENFP, INFP. Oh my goodness, what does all of this mean to me as a leader? And how do I keep track of all these four-letter words to see myself as a leader and make decisions? So look, seeing your personality traits is very useful. And I have taken all of these different tests. And there's lots of great information in the 50-page printouts, and the consulting is normally high quality. But your personality and your leader archetype are not the same things. So I don't know about you, but I've got a hard time using this information to help me lead as the best version of myself and to bring out the best in others. So at SLA, we used our deep leadership experience and study to develop an elegant and effective way for leaders to see themselves and their teams. And so we're going to help you lead authentically, beginning with your who. There is no need to stress out over four-letter words and acronyms. So it all starts with authenticity, which is your intersection of your who, your how, and your why. Your leader archetype is your who. It's a broadly framed depiction of how you lead, how you approach problems. Your leader archetype is easy to understand and very easy to put into context, and it's different than your personality. Your who is shaped by some basic hardwiring, which we'll discuss next. The other elements of authenticity are your how, which are your operating principles and values, and your why, which is your sense of mission and purpose. Authenticity comes at the intersection of the who, the how, and the why. So let's drill down into your who. So we looked at all the ways people are hardwired and sorted through those that most affected how a leader leads. Not how well, but just simply how. So we zeroed in on the factors that were highly salient and unlikely to change. So two of the most compelling hardwiring are your location on the introversion-extroversion scale and the detail vision orientation scale. When you place these together on axes, it provides an elegant frame of four major leader archetypes. So pioneers tend to be visionary extroverts. They get their energy by rallying people behind new ideas and innovations. They are the master tacticians, comfortable in fluid environments, and they don't mind uprooting the soil to break new ground. Reconcilers, on the other hand, tend to be detail-oriented extroverts. They get their energy by building teams, by managing consensus, and keeping people on board. Operators tend to be detail-oriented introverts. They get their energy by nailing the details, accomplishing tasks to a high standards, holding people accountable for executing requirements, rules, and processes. Mavericks finally tend to be visionary introverts. They love solving complex, wicked problems. And they make connections between data and events that no one else sees. They're the ones that make the very big moves and changes. So PROM is the acronym that we use for this: Pioneer, Reconciler, Operator, Maverick. Notice that I use the words tend to be rather than are when describing the quadrants. Some people, like me, are ambiverts. Others straddle the detail vision line. So the more you learn about each type and reflect on your own personal preferences, the better you can zero in on the one most like you. Okay, we got a question from James from Boston. All right, what about servant leaders and transformational leaders? Great question, James. So servant, transformational, charismatic, and transactional are particular styles that are highly changeable. Your leader archetype is hardwired, on the other hand. So any of the leader archetypes can become servant or transformational leaders, for instance, and they can grow from being transactional leaders to being transformational or servant leaders. By contrast, you can't grow or develop from being a pioneer to an operator or vice versa. It's your leader DNA. So great question, James. Okay, so this is going to lead us to shift number 2, moving from a single leadership ideal to 4 archetypes. So let's look at 4 leaders who have changed the world in their own ways. Oprah Winfrey is a pioneer. As a TV personality and thought leader, she has rallied millions of people behind the ideas of compassion and social justice. So let's take a moment to think about pioneers like Oprah, extroverted visionaries, the great explorers and innovators. So in the chat box, type in another famous leader who meets this profile. All right, there we go. George Patton, somebody with a military background. Mark Zuckerberg, excellent. Winston Churchill, awesome. All right, so Abraham Lincoln is our reconciler. As president, he built a team of rivals, held the Union together, won the Civil War, ended slavery in America, and set the foundations for the country to come back together. So let's take a moment to think about reconcilers. These are your detail-oriented extroverts, the great team and consensus builders. Okay, in the chat box, type in another famous leader who meets this profile. All right, Bill Clinton, certainly. Meg Whitman, former CEO of Hewlett-Packard, excellent. All right, let's move on to operators. Queen Elizabeth II. Her high standards of accountability have guided Great Britain and the royal family through major challenges. I mean, think about it. Post-World War II Reconstruction, the Cold War, the advent of nuclear weapons, decolonization, the death of Princess Diana, post 9/11, Brexit, and now Harry and Meghan. So let's take a moment to think about the operators, the detail-oriented introverts, the people who get the stuff done on time, on target, every single time. So in the chat box, type in another famous leader who meets this profile. Yep, Sheryl Sandberg. Excellent. She's Mark Zuckerberg's alter ego and why they're such a good team. JFK? I don't think so. JFK was a maverick. He wanted to solve the wicked problem of America's new place in the world after the Second World War. So new frontier, flexible response, all indicators of JFK's maverickness. Steve Jobs, of course, is the quintessential maverick. So he was seized by the global impact of putting information technology into the hands of ordinary people just like you and me. So he created Apple, and the rest is history. So let's take a moment to think about mavericks, introverted visionaries, the great problem solvers, the people with the big ideas for change. So in the chat box, type in another famous leader who meets this profile. Yeah, Alexander Hamilton, perfect. And he, in many cases, in many ways, complimented George Washington, who was an operator. So we've just provided examples of 4 imperfect but highly extraordinary leaders, people who've made a positive impact on the world, and they are 4 completely different kind of leaders. And you have added even more names to this list. So these examples alone suggest that there's no single leadership ideal to which everybody must conform. Great leaders come in all 4 types. So do average leaders, and so do perfectly rotten ones. Embracing a more diverse array of leader archetypes frees us to be ourselves and to help people become the best versions of themselves. So whenever I discuss archetypes during presentations and workshops, I always have people saying how liberating it is to realize that it's okay to lead differently than others. Here is a recent testimonial from Michelle Flournoy. SLA's leader archetypes gave us a framework to discuss the ways that people lead differently and how we celebrate that diversity as we build commitment to a common culture. This is already benefiting our retention, our engagement, and our morale. Michelle Flournoy, Chief Executive Officer of WestExec. Thank you, Michelle. Okay, shift number 3, moving from superpowers and kryptonite to natural flow, energy, and inclinations. Now look, nobody is hardwired into particular leadership strengths and weaknesses. different archetypes just simply lead differently. So first of all, look, you don't need superpowers to be a great leader. You just simply need to start with the best and healthiest version of yourself. You don't need bat wings or titanium shields, shape-changing capabilities, laser eyes, or magic vambraces. You got what you need to lead. Second, we don't have some sort of natural kryptonite that we can't get rid of either. You can improve or strengthen just about any leadership capability you want. It's just a matter of time, effort, habits, and resources. So think instead about your natural flow, energy, and inclinations. When you are operating with authenticity, your who, your how, and your why at that intersection, you are most likely to be in a natural state of flow. You'll love what you do, and it won't feel like work. This is why you want your employees to have roles consistent with their archetypes' inclinations. You will immediately improve their engagement and reduce burnout. When you or one of your employees is operating outside your natural flow and inclinations, and look, there are times that this is necessary, just simply recognize that you will need to take deliberate steps to allow yourself or that other person time to replace their energy. So here's a great technique when somebody asks you the goofy, "What are your weaknesses?" question during an interview. Say that, "Well, I tend to burn a lot of energy when doing X, Y, or Z. I can do those tasks and I can do them well, but I find them to be less engaging, and so I'll have a higher risk of burnout." So this response will help you avoid the weaknesses trap that may be later used against you and provide you with an authentic response, or enable you to provide an authentic response that will help you set important boundaries and conditions on your employment. So our ebook on the Prom Leader Persona Method breaks down these details for each archetype, and we'll discuss that a bit later. So as an example, let's start to look at pioneers. So pioneers are extroverted visionaries. They love to rally people behind new ideas and innovations. They like to challenge the status quo and conventional wisdom. So Oprah Winfrey with her ideas of social justice, Winston Churchill resisting Nazism, inspiring the British people, General George Patton, the first to integrate new warfighting technologies, tanks, mech infantry, artillery, close air support, Mark Zuckerberg connecting people by social media, and Mao Zedong rallying millions behind the idea of Chinese communism are all examples of pioneers. So healthy pioneers have the vision and inspiration to make real changes in organization and in the lives of people. They are quick to see opportunities that most others miss, integrate ideas and technologies in new direction and with massive impact. Healthy pioneers have the self-discipline to set clear priorities. And they are unafraid to challenge the status quo, but they recognize that how they challenge the status quo is important for success. Healthy pioneers are sensitive to the disruptive nature of innovation and seek to take care of those affected. So Oprah is a good example of a healthy pioneer. So was General George Patton when he was at his best in France and Germany. Now let's take a look at average pioneers. Average pioneers are innovators and tinkerers who seek to make changes that improve the workplace. But average pioneers can get stuck on the good idea hamster wheel. They keep coming up with new ideas before the old ones get implemented. And so they can drive their teams crazy with constant turbulence. Average pioneers tend to lack the self-discipline to prioritize. Not wanting to be challenged, average pioneers tend to surround themselves with people who agree with them. And this lack of diversity can create major blind spots and serious problems in implementation and execution. Average pioneers also tend to create an us versus them mentality. Like, we're the only ones with the right ideas. They're the ones imposing us. They are too risk averse, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this, as you know, can create an unhealthy dynamic in any organization. So unlike healthy pioneers, unhealthy ones can run roughshod over others, be insensitive to the disruptions, and build resentment and animosity. General George Patton in Sicily was an average pioneer. He pitted his command against others, namely the British. He built resentment between the two and was ultimately relieved when, as a general officer, he assaulted a private. Type yes in the chat box if you have seen average pioneers like this, people who fail to prioritize, who are insensitive to disruptions that they have on the lives of others, creating us versus them mentality. Yes, yes, another yes. All right, so pretty soon you're going to learn how to help average pioneers get better. So unhealthy pioneers become dangerous tyrants and demagogues. They create major animosity and backlash against themselves, which then causes them to entrench even further with a narrow group of sycophants. They create hyperactivity, constantly shifting and searching for game-changing ideas, technologies, or weapons that will reverse fortunes. They tend to drift into fantasy land. Unhealthy pioneers become highly toxic, driving away all except the most devoted and sycophantic, who enable their worst tendencies of unhealthy pioneers. I hope you've never run into one of these types. So pioneers can stay in a healthy range by doing the following things. First of all, improve your inclusion. Bring other archetypes onto your team and empower them to challenge your ideas and help you implement the best ones. Avoid blind sides by conducting regular azimuth checks with your board or your boss. This way, you'll not get carried away and race on into areas that they are not ready for. Azimuth checks also help you build support from your boss on innovations that you're pursuing. Third, have the self-discipline to set and respect clear priorities so that you avoid hyperactivity and confusion. No hamster wheels. If everything is a priority, then nothing is truly important. So stick to a top three and use a parking lot for lower priority ideas and innovations. I use Trello boards for that. That way you keep visibility on these issues without risking distractions. All right, here are some ways to bring out the very best in your pioneers. First, set very clear expectations. Give your pioneers a clear task, so what you want them to innovate or change, and a clear purpose, the why, the desired outcomes behind the changes. And then let them amaze you with their ingenuity. This will prevent them from bouncing around from one good idea after another. Second, challenge them or empower them to challenge the status quo. Encourage them to be able to disagree without being disagreeable. So prune away any us versus them mentality or actions. Coach them to consider the downsides of change and develop mitigation strategies. Third is diversity. Put a diverse team around them. Operators will keep your pioneers grounded to reality and will get the innovations implemented to a high standard. Reconcilers will help them smooth over the rough edges and keep people on board with your innovations, especially your colleagues. Mavericks will help your pioneers focus on innovations that matter most to your team and help them integrate the new ideas into a larger whole. So if you're pioneers, here are some ways you can help your boss help you succeed. First, clarify your role. Have innovation written into your job description and make sure your leaders and others know that it's your job to challenge the status quo and come up with innovations. This will help people see you as a team player rather than as a threat. Next, understand your boss's priorities. Get very clear priorities from your leadership so that you focus your innovative energies on what matters most to your team. Prevent blind sides by challenging the status quo in objectives-oriented language. Avoid criticizing the person. Someone perceiving a personal attack will simply dig in their heels. Diversity. Get operators and reconcilers on your team. They will help you bring your good ideas to reality. Mavericks will help you keep your ideas focused on the big picture and solving real problems. Finally, gain buy-in. Talk about innovations and the new ideas in terms that your managers, your bosses, and your employees can rally around. So our ebook gives you many more details on each leader archetype. Okay, we've got a question from Meg from New York. All right, Meg says, are you saying that leaders are born and not, are made and not born, excuse me. So leaders are made and not born. So Meg, thanks for that age-old question. It's a tough one. I believe and think the empirical evidence suggests that it's a combination, born and made, but on balance, leaders are made. Most people are born with aptitudes that enable them to lead teams, if that's what they want to do. Now, examples across history and civilization show that leaders can improve with study, training, coaching, and mentoring. And this is why leader development is so important and has a very high payoff if done well. Now, there are certainly others who have just simply developed habits over time that reduce their ability to lead effectively. And those habits can be so ingrained that people are just simply unwilling to change. And so those are ones that you just are not going to be able to do much for. So I hear all the time with people that people with deep technical or medical backgrounds are incapable of leading. And I categorically reject that prejudice. Thank you, Meg from New York. Okay, shift number 4, going from a cloner to coach. So once you know the 4 archetypes and how to bring out the best in each, you can shift from being a cloner to being a coach and a mentor. So many leaders assume that there's this single leadership ideal, and subconsciously, that ideal bears a very close resemblance to how they see themselves. So here's the result. Their feedback tends to focus on ways the employee can change to become more like the person giving the feedback. This is part of the reason why feedback sessions can be so ineffective and often so counterproductive. My former boss, General Stan McChrystal, talks about the need for leaders to be gardeners, providing the environment, the nourishment and care so that what they are growing and nurturing becomes the best possible version of itself. Imagine a gardener trying to turn a cucumber into a tomato. Not only will the cucumber not become a tomato, but it's unlikely to be the best version of itself because it's not getting the care and nurturing that it needs. So once you know the archetypes and their healthy, average, and unhealthy examples, you can help people become the best versions of themselves by coaching them towards the healthy and pruning away the unhealthy. So here's a great technique for your feedback sessions. Use the archetypes to help your employee express ways that you can help them stay in the healthy range and what average or unhealthy habits can be pruned away. Work together on the how, set up an action plan, and review that every 90 days. So when your feedback is focused on helping people be the best versions of themselves, the sessions move from being confrontational and dreadful to being highly productive and engaging. So think about the feedback sessions in which you have been on the receiving end. Were most of the people giving you feedback cloners or coaches? So type cloner or coach in the chat box. Okay, here we go. Cloner, 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 coach. All right. Cloner, coach, cloner, cloner, cloner. Right. So this is a major problem that needs fixing, and now you know exactly how to do it. Another testimonial from Karen Seitz, founder and managing director of Fusion Partners Global. The leader archetypes have given me a framework to think about leader diversity and what natural inclinations people bring to the table. It also helped me communicate more effectively and develop action plans with my team and our clients. Thank you, Karen Seitz, for your testimonial. All right, so all of this leads to shift number 5, moving from being frustrated to being fulfilled. So look, if you're coming home after work emotionally drained and exhausted, chances are you are not in a role aligned with your flow. And your health and your well-being, your family life, your relationships all suffer. Are you okay with that? Are you okay if that's happening to your employees? So knowing your archetype, your who, enables you to see yourself in new ways and to focus on your natural flow and inclinations. It also helps you to put the right talent around you, people whose natural flow and inclinations encompass the other archetypes. So you can focus on what you love while others do the same, and the whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts. Now, sometimes you wind up in a role or need to put others in roles that may not be aligned with their flow. So recognizing this helps you put the right talent around your direct reports and to address their energy depletion and burnout more effectively. You'll become a much more effective coach and mentor, and you'll look forward to your feedback sessions with excitement rather than with dread, because you're helping people be the best versions of themselves. And when you make this shift, you're going to find that your professional life and your leadership to be more effective, more productive, and more fulfilling when you work with rather than against your natural flow. You'll find that you've got more energy for your personal life too. And that's a good news story. So think about your job right now. Are you frustrated or fulfilled? In the chat box, type in frustrated or fulfilled. All right, here we go. Fulfilled, fulfilled. Good. Frustrated, frustrated, fulfilled, frustrated, and fulfilled. All right, so imagine how your employees feel. So get this wrong, and you and your employees are likely to get trapped in soul-sucking jobs that have a higher risk of burnout. Get this wrong, and you'll be more susceptible to blindsides that damage your business. Get this wrong, and you'll have a frustrated, suboptimal performing team. Get this wrong, and you're more likely to be a cloner rather than a mentor, and you'll turn off very talented people and push them right out the door to your competitors. Get this wrong, and you'll have increased friction with your boss or your board or your direct reports as you talk past one another and fail to find the right ways to bring out the best in each other. Get this wrong, and your risk of burnout, flame out, and personal and professional damage increase. Get this right, however, and you have a high probability of being the best version of yourself, of serving in roles in which you thrive, thereby improving your professional value, job satisfaction, and promotion potential. Get this right, and you'll have higher energy levels at work and at home. Get this right, you'll have a higher probability of putting together a balanced, diverse, and high-performing team and being the kind of mentor who brings out the best in your team and leaves a positive legacy in the lives of those you touch. Okay, our audit. Here's what we discussed today: the 4 main leader archetypes and how they contribute to your team. We discussed why there's no single leadership ideal, that you have the freedom to be yourself as a leader and to let others do the same. We discussed ways to bring out the best version of yourself and your employees, and how to unlock your potential and build a higher performing, more engaged team using these 5 shifts from conventional wisdom. And finally, we offered techniques to help your boss, to help you help your boss bring out the best in you so that you are empowered with the right latitude, guidance, and support. So if you like this webinar, you're going to love our new course, Build Winning Teams. Our course includes our ebook on our leader persona method, this webinar in video and audio versions, plus additional videos on each leader archetype. So this course covers the following things: essential details on each archetype, what the healthy versions of each archetype look like, and ways to help you and others get there and stay there. Examples of average and unhealthy habits that you can improve or prune away to be the best version of yourself and help others do the same. tips on managing each archetype so that you can help others be the best versions of themselves and stay engaged and energized. Imagine what this is going to do to your productivity and retention rates. You'll also be able to slash the revenue the revenue drain that happens through absenteeism, disengagement, and turnover. You're going to be able to gain tips on helping your boss bring out the best in you. And you'll have worksheets and exercises that help you apply what you learn right away to improve your work and your home life too. For January 2020, we are practically giving away this course for the ridiculously low price of $9. So if this course helps you retain just one employee, it will pay for itself 10,000 times over, not to mention the impact of greater engagement and performance. So to get this course, just simply go to our website, strategicleadersacademy.com/courses/build a winning team, or click on the button in this webinar. Thank you very much. In our next webinar, we'll begin to cover the habits of leading well. We'll start by discussing how to get great results the right way, using our 3 core principles of leadership: trustworthiness, respect, and stewardship. In each webinar, you're going to get highly engaging content and practical takeaways that you can apply immediately to boost performance and slash expensive mistakes. We will see you next time.